which real-life serial killer frightened disturbed you the most? The Axeman of New Orleans basically forced the entire city into playing jazz music, so he would spare their lives. Pretty horrific deaths, and nobody was ever charged for the killings. Golden State Killer, when he would stay in the room, yup, victims would wait hours blindfolded thinking he's gone, but he's still in the room. Oh fuck, was that the guy who told people exactly what he'd do to them if they ran or tried to get help, and then he'd go silent for hours? Didn't some people survive him by following his orders? That's some advanced psychological torture. You know, you and your family are in danger. You've not heard him in what must have been an hour or two. Is he going to return? Is now my chance? Wait, did he even leave? You don't know where he went, or if he went. You're blindfolded and don't even know if it's morning yet. A fear of the unknown is the worst fear to people. It seems like that's what the Golden State Killer fed off of. H. Holmes, he would trap people in a room with complete darkness, and either leave them to starve to death, or cook them alive. There's a book, The Devil in the White City. If you want some more information on him, it's currently being made into a movie starring Leonardo DiCaprio, and directed by Martin Scorsese. The Railway Killer, in the late 90s, he rode trains throughout North America, and many of his victims were in Texas, where I lived as a teenager. We had railroad tracks just behind our backyard, and we frequently saw people riding in open or empty cars. When it became apparent a serial killer was riding on trains in Texas, my parents got the house alarm fixed, and then monitored, and my dad slept with a gun near his bed. Dean Corle. I almost puked when reading about the methods of torture he used on little boys. He was such an asshole that his teenage accomplice was the one that killed him, which revealed his 28+ murders to the public. There was a haunting photo of an unidentified victim that was found in his accomplice's property years after they got busted. Nobody has any clue who the kid is, but the image of distress on his face, and the toolbox full of torture tools next to him, have forever been burned into my mind. One of the saddest stories is one of the boys he picked up was 14 years old, and on his way home from the gas station, he was saving up bottle caps for recycling money to take a girl to the movie, and he never made it home. Imagine how high on life that kid was. He must have worked so hard to get the money together to take a pretty girl he probably had a crush on for a long time to the movies. He must have been so happy on the walk home. But then he ended up dying a slow and painful death. Shit makes me tear up. What did he do? All I can really find is that he sodomized and raped the victims on a board, but not much else. I've spoiler tagged this as it's sensitive information and NSFW, but after some reading it looks like some pretty gruesome things he did include shoving glass rods up the boys' urethra and smashing them while they're inside, along with castrating them while they're still alive. William Bone Aka, the Freeway Killer, killed my childhood friend in 1980. He was 16, I was 15 at the time, and that is too young an age to wrap your head around having a friend a victim of a serial killer. It changed me. BTK worked code enforcement, so plenty of access to homes. Prominent church member, family man, depraved murderer. Saw an interview with one of the prosecutors, said the scariest thing about Rader was, when you look at him and talk with him, after seeing what I've seen, you realize the Dennis Rader you're talking to is not the real Dennis Rader. Can you elaborate on that? I don't know much about him aside from what I've seen in Mindhunter. He was sort of a doddering fuckwit in his day-to-day, just somebody's dad, who was visibly odd, but inoffensive, not unpleasant, but not bright. But behind the scenes, he was an extremely dangerous man, who would hide in a family's home for hours, before sneaking out to bind, torture, and sloppily kill all of them. Israel Keys, rapist, serial killer, necrophiliac. He was raised in a militant fundamentalist Christian household, joined the military, then came back to the US, and killed at least 11 people all over the country. He went to extraordinary lengths to not be caught by choosing victims at random, killing far from his home. He would hide kill kits, and return years later, when he was ready to kill someone in that area. It's terrifying how he killed a woman in Alaska, went on vacation with his family to some Caribbean island for a few days, flew back to Alaska, took the poor woman's body, and sewed her eyes open, and had her corpse posed with a newspaper that was a few days old to throw off law enforcement into thinking she was a runaway, dismembered her. He then used her credit card in different states to show she was on the move, but that was what got him caught. Toolbox killers. The transcript of the tape of Shirley Ledford's torture was one of the most terrifying things I've read. Some sick fucks, Bittaker and Norris. There's some footage on YouTube of the local station covering the trial, but were not allowed in the courtroom, had to stay in the hallway. Apparently, one of the tapes was played in open court, and there are shots of various people coming out in varying degrees of distress. Just from listening, makes me very pleased that those two are dead. I've heard the FBI uses those tapes to desensitize agents, or to give them an idea of the fucked up shit they might see. Those transcripts are chilling. I just read about Fred and Rose West, a married couple in the UK, who collectively were among the most prolific serial killers in modern UK history. It is a grim tale of rape, and incest, and prostitution, and brutal murders, and dismemberment of family members, and random strangers, some of whom they buried in the garden behind their house. It's a fascinating yet horrific story. Richard Chase. Dude thought he was a vampire, and that the government vaporized his blood. The solution? Kill people and rape some post-mortem, and drink the blood. This one time, he was almost caught, so he made himself a baby milkshake on the way. Apparently, he only walked into people's homes that had doors unlocked. If they were locked, he presumed they didn't want him as a guest. Not even kidding. Robert Hansen. Champion hunter in Alaska, who would kidnap sex workers, fly them into the wilderness, and then hunt them for sport. He was also a baker, hence the media nickname Butcher Baker, who had a wife and 2 kids, and was an active member of the community. What is scary about him to me is he was an average Alaskan. No one would think it weird if you went missing several times a year to go fishing and hunting. It's the culture here. He was active for 12 years, and killed at least 17 women. Not sure if it's been said yet, but I'm going with Gary Ridgway, or the Green River Killer. Dude killed between 50 and 70 women, usually teen runaways or sex workers, by picking them up in his car, smooth-talking them, showing them pictures of his son to gain trust, having sex with them, and then strangling them with his bare hands, and dumping them in the forest near Green River, just outside of Seattle. Normal-looking mid-30s family man, who claimed murdering young women was his career, and bragged about having the most confirmed kills of any American serial killer. David Russell Williams was a local serial killer my family knew. He seemed really nice, and never gave off that vibe. Thank you a lot for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel.